Hey guys, so in this video I wanted to go over a more like new programming concept and stuff I've been using with myself and also with my powerlifters right now with really how do we best create training momentum? Like how do we create the best environment for that to actually happen? Because the reality is that powerlifting is a sport that totally relies on creating and maintaining and training momentum. And I think that one of the biggest issues I see with lifters is, and I think that, as a coach, an athlete, I made this mistake several times of saying, okay, every block's going to go like an RPE 9 or something like that. Because, people like to lift heavy. And for powerlifters, it's like pretty rewarding to go that heavy too, right? So the issue with that is that after really high intensity periods, there tends to be more aggressive periods of fatigue management and needed. And in my own coaching system, I prefer not to deload my athletes fully and prefer to wave load them into their next block. So basically the difference between a deload versus a wave load, in my opinion, is that a wave load, I'm mostly altering intensity done. And I might very slightly reduce volume. We're talking like 80, 90%, not a ton. Whereas a deload, I am essentially, it's like a break in the training momentum. It's kind of like a break from really heavy training, a pretty dramatic reduction in training volume. Might even slightly detrain the athlete because, they're so fatigued. And the main concern is just getting them feeling better as soon as possible. And I also think from a psychological perspective, athletes like training feeling good. It's very tough to show up to training every single day if it's a grind or every block is just a grind and you don't feel like you're going anywhere. So a really easy way to do this is by periodizing what's called peak intensity. So I conceptualize this on top sets. I made a post on this today. I'll throw up here. But how I typically, like to periodize this is if we're looking at intensities, block one, we can think of this as an introductory phase or like, a rebound phase. Getting back into regular training, just trying to get some good volume accumulation in, and the really cool thing too about not going super hard on your peak intensities or super heavy is that you're going to have more juice for your down sets. And so for strength gains, it's very important to have that peak intensity exposure. It is very important. It drives a ton of strength gains and neurological stimulus. However, that's not the thing that's getting us stronger. It's a big part of it. But, if that was the only thing that made us stronger, we would just train RP10 and do one top set and go home. The overall volume is what dictates the magnitude of the adaptation that we're going to have. So, by having higher quality volume, by not going as heavy, you're not going to be as tired for your down sets. And so something that I'll do with my athletes, for example, is I might give them, instead of giving like minus 10% load, they say, I might just keep all three sets of 5 at like a 5. And say, just like maybe you if you feel really good, you can push those harder. If you don't feel very good, you can, keep them a little bit lighter. And this really allows the athlete to auto-regulate and typically do a little bit, more forceful reps, move a little bit better. They're able to just accumulate better overall volume. Anybody has that experience of doing like RPE 9, 10 top set, and then your down sets just feel super heavy. They're really hard. You're basically down to like week 1 weight on your week 4 because it's just so heavy and so fatiguing. And that affects the overall quality of the overall session. So by having, peak intensities and this is where I think like a volume accumulation phase and like traditional powerlifting periodization, block periodization works. Typically there's like a accumulation phase, then an intensification phase, then a realization or peaking phase. And I think that we've gone a little bit too far away from that in modern powerlifting periodization. And I think that this is a really great way to make sure that you build strength, you can capitalize on that, and you're seeing like the larger picture, because a big key of being able to get stronger is actually being able to think long-term about where am I headed? Where is my strength going to be? Where is my end goal? When's my next meet? And setting deadlines for yourself and really being able to create training momentum and build upon each block. And this is a really easy way too. So, for example, in this block, you can kind of see, working up to like a 7.5 RPE, sets of 4 for drop set, sets of 5 for down set. And then, a very slight, linear periodization downwards with 1 rep downwards, except now we're ending off the block at an 8 to 8.5 RPE. Similar down set intensity. In general, I don't put my squat or deadlift down set intensity above a 7. I don't put a bench press also above like an 8 because with the velocity loss research, so RP is basically a measure of velocity loss. It's not a great stimulus above like a set of 7 for most of your volume, and the same with like with bench press. Data-driven strength has done a lot of good work on it. So if you guys are interested in learning that, you can go check out their YouTube channel. But upon this phase, say we have 8 weeks of really high quality training, you probably feel really, really good. You probably really have built up to having some sort of significant PR. And say you're getting a little bit closer to a meet, we're going to be able to really take advantage of what I would call like a build block, because we just got a really great repeated bout effect from this first phase. It wasn't too heavy. We have tons of momentum. We can go into a second block pretty easily. We're able to build upon that, take advantage of our slightly higher fitness levels, and push slightly higher peak intensities. But an 8.5 isn't usually not going to be so fatiguing for most people. They need to like, oh my gosh, I need a big pullback. Basically, when we're closer to strength test, this is when, in my opinion, trading off the overall quality of the overall stimulus is going to get you stronger. In the long run, is sort of the trade-off with pushing that peak intensity in the short term. So, for example, in this block, we're doing singles, and we're moving up to an RPE 9, close to the testing phase. Where we say like the last week of this is going to be a taper week going on into a meet. Now, there is some conversations about how heavy should you go before a meet. I found like more often than not, as long as like you're not going above like a true 9. In that last week going up to meet, I think most people in general are going to be okay, especially if something like a squat or deadlift is earlier on in the week. If you're a little bit later on the week, there's some nuance with that. I'd probably put that peak intensity on a week 3, so you have a little more time to dissipate that fatigue. But we're trying to drive peak strength, which is the whole point of powerlifting. We need to really emphasize that top set, and so this is where again, you're probably going to be a little bit more fatigued from the heavier top set. But that's kind of what we want right now, maximizing that peak strength trade-off. We're going to essentially push that peak intensity a little bit harder. Ron Delhunt also just put out a video that's similar to this, but he talked about it a little bit differently. But this is something that I think that a lot of athletes could benefit from. It's something I'm doing more often with myself and with my athletes. If you're somebody who's watching this who's had a lot of trouble creating and maintaining training momentum, feeling like they're not going somewhere, and you end up every block RPE 9, 10, maybe reevaluate, maybe do something a little bit more like this, where you can really build that strength and really focus on those ability PRs. That set of 7 to 8 single going up, something like that. You really do not need to redline your body in order to get stronger. You need to create an environment for your body to get stronger, and we do that by training with appropriate volumes and appropriate intensities that are going to allow us to get stronger in the long run. And then once you built that strength, then we can peak that later on once we're close to a test when that trade off is worth it. So hopefully this makes sense. If you guys have any questions, ask down in the comments below, or shoot me a message on Instagram at Adam D. Peeler. If you guys are interested in coaching or custom programs, really take the guesswork out of your programming and ensure that you guys see the best strength and physique progress of your life. Because with my programming, I place a big emphasis on the physique part, actually, because that's a big part of strength progress. Links are down below in the description to apply for that, or you can shoot me a message on Instagram with just keyword coaching, and I'll let you know how we can get started. So we guys have a great rest of your day.